Hi everyone, I'm Veronica Bartolini and I'm here with Tom Althouse, my co-host and friend. And today we're going to talk about, okay, I'm done with that. Today we are going to talk about how when we were last speaking with, we had a guest, Penny L.A. Shepherd, and you were saying that, oh, wow, I found another script from 1993. And I'm like, no way, the fourth one. Now, can you please tell our audience what's going on? Because you and I have made like 23, 24 interviews, right? About the whole thing when it first started. So if you don't mind, just giving a little wrap up and letting them know.
Well, what's really interesting is if you look at this right here, this particular screenplay, this is the one that was one of the ones that was taken from our home in Maui by Tony Rankin, the attorney supplied by Warner Brothers, when he also took the poor man's patent when he was at our house and said he had to take a call on a Saturday, and it was Warner Brothers attorneys. And it was after he said, okay, this is all the evidence on the table. This is everything. Then the phone rings. He says, I got to take this call. You got to leave the dining room. So we had to leave our own dining room and didn't realize what was going on. And he went through our stuff and he was instructed by Warner Brothers attorneys, Kurt Bessinger and Linda Burrow and Arwen Johnson, on what to destroy and what to take. And so he had taken the poor man's patent and ripped it open and took out the full script and then resealed it and took the this script right here, which is the 1995 version that was edited or corrected or commented on by Trisha Fike in California. They didn't want any proof of anybody having witnessed any of the or having any of the scripts from pre 96. So that was a big strategy of theirs, and to get rid of all those using their Planet Attorney. So what was shoved down my son's art box that was right next to the dining room table where our evidence was left only the cover page to this and the poor man's patent that had been resealed badly with all kinds of glue on it and the full script taken out. What's interesting is the other scripts that returned are pre-90 or pre-96. This is the 1993 draft done in March 21st, 1993. So this was done right before the submission in June 93 by Boyd and Boyd of Norfolk. And it was taken also from our house. And in fact, Rankin had mocked that, saying that, you have you didn't have full script when Boyd submitted. Yes, we did. And he had taken it out of our poor man's patent. So anyway, there's cover pages in all these ones that are restored, except this one, because the cover page he had shoved down Aiden's art box. So now it matches up perfectly with this one that's returned to us. So the point is, how does this end up back in our home 2 days before Easter in our bedroom when it had been gone for so long and we know it had been taken? And the fact that that cover page was shoved down Aiden's art box back in, that was 2012, shows that, okay, that's matching now with what was taken.
Mhm.
So somebody had to have uh, access to these things that was in the attorney's file. My supposition is that, or supposing, is that the agencies took it and had the attorneys turn it over to them. And then they broke in and returned it to me. Why? You know, the agencies have always been interested in having me as one of their inside guys. And I said no. I said wouldn't do what Religious Right was asking me to do. So there's a lot in my head right now on trying to factor all this. So it could even be that Warner Brothers felt, well, we've run your statute of limitations, we've destroyed you. So even if you have your original drafts, you can't do anything. Now we'll put them back to you where you can't do anything, but we can. So that is a possibility. Or the agencies worked with them saying that, but the agencies actually want to see us win now. It's just, you know, but that is the one I just mentioned is the one I think would be very plausible because the key player that's working with Sophia Stewart, the failed writer that claims to be the mother of the Matrix, is also touting, you can't do anything in court, you run the statutes. The attorney that handles her is saying, you can't run the it's too late, we run the statutes. So it is very plausible that they would return these things just to rub it in that, there's nothing you can do. Yet, Matrix One's never been claimed, and they were the ones that kept us from claiming it with the Planet Attorney when we were saying we wanted it all along. So now we can go forward and claim it. So with these drafts, we have the proof that will wipe Warner Bros. Off the map. Now, these have to be placed into a vault with these other ones because they could break in again and take them. They're very good at breaking in, the agencies, obviously, because there wasn't even I mean, I don't have high security systems, and they can easily come through the back door, through the locks and stuff. They know how. So, yeah.
Excuse me, Tom, do you have any kind of cameras or anything? No.
Nope, I don't, because I am just not tech savvy. I'm a writer. And so they've alienated and isolated me so badly by providing their own people that many people will give advice like, do this, do that.
Yeah. And
Just
then
don't
they can
have
hack into your cameras too.
it. Yeah. And people go say like, use this program, use that program. That's not me. All I can do is be a writer. I'm an easy target. So, and that's what I do. I write, I create. So that's what I do for the world. And so yeah, and I'm not going to suddenly become an expert on tech. So, and that's actually why in the Matrix you have the Neuralink, where you can be
Right.
tech savvy, all that stuff. It came from me not being able to, be that way. So you just download your computer, your memories are there. You can create instantly. It comes from this sort of situation where I'm not tech savvy, never planned to
Same
be.
here.
Yeah, that's not something I want to do. I don't
I'm
want to
not.
engage that part of my
Yeah.
brain. I want to, keep the creative side,
Right,
let
exactly.
that for others to do because I don't want to try to be something else, a blend that'll limit my creativity. And
Yes. And I'm so grateful you said that because just yesterday I was asking you because I'm writing my second book and you were an inspiration to me and so was another lady in the community.
good.
And I said, if they can do it, I can do it. I'm not tech savvy either.
Mm.
And I've had all my writings. I have like over 25 journals and I just started putting them together. And I asked, how do you do it when you get anxious? Because I am writing about my past. I'm writing about what really happened with the whole situation in my life, coming up to the near-death experience, right? I'm telling it all as much as I can bear. So I asked you yesterday, hey, how do you do when you get anxious? I usually, go walk, my dog go walk and just breathe, just tell myself breathe. Like, and yesterday I let myself cry because I hadn't cried. I said, you know what? Just, it was building up as I was writing. And I said, just let
Right.
it all go. And if there's going to be critics, I was worried, Tom, how do you do it? For when, who cares? It's your life story, and you with what you're writing telepathically. I think that's what you're also telling me telepathically is we are telepathic and we don't need to be tech savvy, obviously. Another
No.
question that I had real quick is the fingerprints. I know it's a very, very silly question because it's been handled so much that, I'm thinking the answer would be, well, there's just so many fingerprints. I was thinking, did you take the fingerprints when they were, how were they, okay, did they just put them in a box or did they put them on your table? How did they come back and say, here's
They
your
laid them out. They were laid out on my bed, and they were
what?
just laid out. Yeah, just laid out nicely on the bed. So it's like Santa went down the chimney and dropped it off. So it's really, really amazing because you know, I I don't want to change who I am. And like people often give advice, do this, do that. I am accused by the other side, which Pat Robertson started back in 1993. They started saying he waves a gun around, he's dangerous, he's going to shoot people. I don't even really know how to work again, you know. And one
I'll
time,
teach you.
yeah, my son took me to the range, you know, and I still couldn't. He just tried to show me like I couldn't do it. And then he's like, "Okay, try it on the range to shoot." And I actually missed the full target and hit the clip that holds it. He's like, "Dad, oh my God!" So I'm like, "I know." So that's what's so stupid about the agencies on this is that they're like, they did that false filing that said I was put away, you know, when I wasn't, and saying that if I have a weapon, then I'll be put away in jail forever. It's like, I don't even know how to use a weapon, you know, and I don't have the heart to use a weapon. So, you know, my son can protect himself, definitely. But my job, my mission, I believe, on this planet is to create. And that's
Right.
another thing they employ. I was telling you earlier when you were asking about what you can do. They'll send people my way, and even handlers have told me this to use up my time. They'll do small talk and send me tons of messages and downloads and just talking and call me all the time. And that's supposed to make me look like I'm not a good guy or I'm a narcissist or not interested. If I engage in small talk and am distracted, I can't create my writings. It'll destroy my creative process. So I found myself always trying, you know, I care, but always trying to limit the calls I take. And then I didn't know how to get off a phone call when someone was playing me and I felt like I don't want to be rude and they'll talk for an hour and a half.
Mm,
So
wow.
now I learned it's okay to appear rude. It's okay not to take the calls. And you'll see me in message threads where I won't respond a lot of times because I cannot sacrifice my creativity for texting. And for me, texting is painful. I don't like texting. I
I
don't,
like talking better.
yeah, I like talking, but it's like still, um, I hope people understand that it's like the creative process really, I could be very happy alone, just creating and having that flow happening. That's heaven, you know. Um, Being at a social gathering is tough for me because it's like, first of all, I feel like I have to have everybody happy. I want to attend to everybody. That's what's so wild about people that turn is that I was there for them the whole time. You know, like recent people too. It's like always there for them. You could check back on past interviews, always there for them, always complimenting, always lifting. If I
Always.
did a compliment, I compliment back.
Yeah.
So that's who I am. But the other side plays it, you know, to try to say, oh, you're on a high horse or your ego. No, I really don't have it. I don't, never did. I never fit in. So, but I fit in with trying to create to make a difference, to care. That's me. And I see
Yeah.
that in you too. So these things being restored, I'd like to think that these scripts are being returned because they see that good is a good way to proceed. And they know my heart. Like these guys will come up, agents will come up in public, like meetings and stuff, whatever. If I'm at something, this guy will come up in an event, be an agent, say he is, and say that, you know, you really are a really cool guy. You know, you're such a good heart. We know you wouldn't hurt anybody. Well, that's what they're saying while they're supposed to institute this idea that, oh, he's an egomaniac and dangerous and crazy. So when my sister picks it up the narrative for rewards, great rewards, by saying, oh, he's waving a gun around, which is the exact language used back with Pat Robertson's organization. You know, he's the one that coined that. He's waving a gun around. And for me, that actually cares about people, what does that even mean? Waving a gun around? If you're in public waving a gun around, do you think I'd be here? You know, and the only gun I'd be able to have is like a water gun. It's like I really don't, you know, to try to make people laugh. But so it's really insane and absurd. I'm glad you're getting your book written, and I'm working on my book too because I'm putting these things in there where it's like, this is ridiculous. You know, what they've tried to pull for so long, and people being rewarded to claim it that have switched up. And they always push the ego thing. They always push the arrogance. Sophia Stewart did it all the time. Ego, maniac, that kind of stuff. All the players always push that. And that's supposed to take people from identifying with authors that have been taken from, you know, and when the people they give it to are actually high egos. So it's very interesting seeing this flip back now, where it'll remain a mystery to me why these things are being restored. Now they can take it just as easily as they gave it. They know that the other screenplays, the 16 or well, actually 17 now, that are buried in a trash bag without even staples and metal. No one's going to find it. That was the best strategy I had for keeping my last son alive, because Disney was so into like insisting that we see your scripts. How do we know you're not a two-hit wonder? Show us. And that's when I, like I said before, consistently, that I said that if anything happened to my son, I destroy him. And they're like, you can't do that. You can't destroy your work. I'm like, yes, I can. I'm not going to give it on a planet where my son has been killed, my last son. And I think they got that, you know. So is this restoration of the work going to be a precursor to, okay, Tom, release your 17? Because Hollywood's bankrupt for ideas and they've already done everything they could with theft, basically. So, or is it a turning point in the agencies? Well, I think they would have contacted me and told me that, okay, just like they do at events, coming up saying, look, we're gonna turn things around for you. We're not gonna mess with you anymore or your loved ones. So I'm left with a blank on, I'd love to hear people's thoughts. I don't know why these, like you said, it's four of them, and they're the original, most important drafts of this whole thing. And the other question is, why did George Michael have to die? When the attorneys and agencies took out George Michael on Christmas, when the case was completely thrown illegally, unjustly, with the Planet attorneys, he dies because he's the best witness for the script being completed in 93. But giving me this thing right here, restoring it to my house, means that George Michael didn't need to die. He didn't need to die. So if we look at this right here again, put that back on there. I mean, the rusted bolts, everything, the notations. No, I didn't just create this. And the date number right there is killer. And
So you started in 92, right? The draft on the left,
I
right?
started working on 89, and I went
89.
all
Okay,
the
that's
way
what I,
to, yeah, pretty much it was ready to go in 92, 93. So what's interesting about this date, though, Veronica, is that it says again, draft one, March 21st, 1993. Now keep in mind, the attorneys for Warner Bros. Are on tape saying they have no working drafts whatsoever. That's at the end of my deposition, where I wasn't allowed any discovery of them. But they're saying they have no working drafts whatsoever. And there's the
there.
1993 one. We are the only ones that hold full scripts and are copyrighted. Not
Right,
Sophia Stewart,
right.
not Paul Anderson from Cypherman, not Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers
Yep.
isn't even using the Maker's
Yeah.
title. Nobody else that claims it has a full script that's copyrighted. We do, right from that date. So I don't know. I'd love to know some thoughts. I don't know what's going on. Um, Hopefully they're thinking, Tom and others like yourself that are working with me together, working with you, are nice people, and it's turn for the nice people to have a chance to create and be unleashed to create, because I've got them.
Yes.
Maybe that message about that they'll be destroyed if anything happens to the last loved ones, like you guys. Anything happens to you guys, that I would destroy the work. Maybe that hit home. Maybe Disney, when Bob Iger came back, said
I
enough.
think so.
Because Bob Iger is there where Michael Eisner put Mike Lang in place and Harvey Weinstein to be facilitators of this theft and theft of their works. With Bob Iger back, I heard recently he's actually supposed to be a nice guy, and for those that actually work with him. So, okay, Bob Iger's back at Disney. Bob Iger is the one that wanted to meet with me and got fired the day after he was going to, like he said he was going to meet with me. He's back. I don't know, Mike Lang might be out of the picture now. So Harvey Weinstein may be out of the picture now. So maybe there's an inversion going on now. Steven Spielberg is one that really wants me down. He definitely was involved in a heavy way, with his best friend Peter even saying, don't you ever effing come to Hollywood, because you'll be a dead man. So pretty clear message from the Spielberg, who also put Saving Private Ryan, the Sons in there, Submitting Attorney in there, also Minority Report, like we talked about before in the shows. where they put, my dad's name and rank, and then my son Sean's murdered. That's why Tom Cruise's character will be put away for life, with my dad's name and rank. So what you see is with Spielberg was the big problem in the end. He was one that wouldn't allow Disney to do the right thing. So, and I want to ask Roseanne too, is Disney letting up on you now, or are they continuing? That would be a big meter for me to know if there's been a switch up. So I'm looking forward to seeing her very soon. And God bless her courage too, like yours. So yeah.
Thank you. I do see her and you working together and creating
Hmm.
and putting it on the big screen, like they say, your way with her.
Yeah, we were talking
Um,
about that. Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
do see that. Something big's gonna happen and it's gonna go big. It's gonna go
Yeah.
viral and people are gonna go see it.
I
The
believe it.
thing about, yeah, the thing about creating that like you're saying, for example, just a thing that happened right before I was going to publish my book is I saved it right where I use it, and then I did the PDF, and then boom, my laptop went out, and this was at 3 in the morning,
I hate.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I
sorry.
lost everything again. So then
Ugh.
we are creators, like you said, people like us. Okay, guys, we're all creators. The ones that, there's people that are more like left brain, but the ones that are just, like us, we we can re-up that again. We can create again. We can start all over again, even though it's upsetting, it's frustrating. But so I think Warner Brothers did get the message, like you can create an even better than the original. They can leave you guys alone now, you and your son. That it's not right what they did at all, and they'll have to pay for that.
Mhm.
Also, Sophia Stewart and whoever else is saying that it's their script. You have the original, and
Yeah.
it will stand up in court. I mean, what can they say? Oh, this is not your writing, you know.
Yeah. There's no way in a fair venue that they would ever come close to winning. I don't think there's any film case or a copyright case where the evidence has been so one-sided. They don't have, they said, we have them on tape saying they have nothing, not even working drafts. We're gonna win. We're gonna win.
Exactly. I'm
So,
sharing the video now on Telegram. I'm not seeing people ask any questions right now. Are you? But we can continue. It's okay.
go ahead. That's fine. I mean, I wouldn't even know what question to ask if I was someone else, because it's so mind-boggling and mind-blowing that these things have shown up on the bed in the bedroom. I mean, it's like two occasions. So, and then look at the days they are picking. I'm coming back from Tampa from the first real speaking conference engagement I'm asked to be a keynote speaker at, and then 2 days before Easter, right? That's huge. That's huge. I didn't think about it till just now, but Easter is the idea that Christ rose. So the 2 days before Easter, I didn't even think of this. 2 days before Easter, last or 2 years ago, was when the hit and run was done on me
Oh man.
on the Texas highway when I was getting back from
Oh,
the
that's right.
Q groups thing. And I didn't realize that. And it's considered a holiday in the dark side because of Christ was in hell, they say.
Right.
So did not occur to me that this is restored on the same day 2 years ago when the computer in the car shut off. I was stranded, and the sniper, well, actually, the tow guy was a former U.S. Marine sniper who says he never leaves, really, I believe it, and said that you would have been killed here. You would have been killed here if your car had not drifted and drifted and drifted out because you were in a no-cell zone, and illegal immigrants were coming in and killing people in their cars because they were desperate for food and clothing and things like that. So he said, it's a miracle you're alive. And that was really a well done attempt. And that was through agencies too, because the car that was in front of me when that happened had the official license plate, like the official license plate. So
Right.
the license plate. So then the car shuts off. So here we are again, the exact same day that is the darkest of days, basically, according to their side, to celebrate. Jesus in hell. So that's when this is restored. Wow.
Wow, you've been raised. Okay, so you were in hell with that accident, right? Because I believe me, I know the Bible. We taught, Jesus, they crucified him, and they just they want us to think that we're a sacrifice, okay, but we're not, guys. I have difference of opinions with the whole Jesus crucifixion, but what
Sure.
they did is they want for us to be sheep, okay? And I've had a lot of things happen with pastors that they're pretty much wolves. They're not, they're just taking advantage of the people. So they want us to be sheep. Okay. So when they say that they crucified Jesus, if you notice the harp, what they do with the wind and everything, it starts getting really dark and windy on the Good Friday. What is good about Friday? There's nothing good about that. I don't even know why they call it that. The next day they say Saturday, which is Saturn returns, is when Jesus is in hell. Why is he in hell? Oh, he's paying all the sins of ours. And I'm like, no, no, nobody has to be sacrificed for us. We don't need a savior. Don't get me wrong, I love Jesus Christ, but the original one, not the one that got crucified, okay, according to Ashiana Dean, but we'll get into that later on. What we were taught in school, in church, is that he's finally going when he's paying for our sins or whatever. And I have remote viewed where they have, okay, these, we'll just call them demons or aliens or humans with technology. They do have cells where they torture people. I have seen it. I've remote viewed it. Okay. And after they did that, okay, here's the keys. You are risen now. You're out of the cave. Um, Supposedly Mary Magdalene and him left and had kids in another reality, and we are their bloodline. The M that we have in our palms is M for Mary Magdalene bloodline, for Merovingian, for the mermaid. Um, that's what I see. But anyway, going back to the religious cult, what they want is they want us to suffer. So what I see right now with that accident, they pretty much sent an EMP, stopped your vehicle, either that or they had some kind of they have it in my vehicle.
Yeah, they
They
shot the
they
computer system. They shot the computer system in a relatively brand new car. They shot the computer system and just made it die right at the right spot where you'd be taken out. And it
right.
kept
It's supposed to
drifting
be a
and
sacrifice.
drifting. It kept going. It like the engine was off. It died. And it kept rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling until I got to an overpass and then I put the brakes on. I had to brake a dead car, put the brakes on, and it was where I could get a phone signal. Isn't that amazing? So
I
my
see.
car kept rolling and it wasn't downhill.
Right.
So something miraculous did happen on that day. And that's what the tow truck guy said, the sniper guy, Marine said that, it's a miracle that you got to where you were cell range because it had been dead. And it was AT&T that would have, what was the phone that is with Warner Brothers. That's a stock with Warner Brothers, or Warner Brothers stock has their stock. And so that phone could be easily manipulated. And it was like, they knew, like he said, that was the dead spot for AT&T. Somehow I rolled um, probably about quarter of a mile
Mm-hmm.
to the underpass. And
They
that's
did, yeah.
wow.
They, I see it. They did that to me too in December of 94. There was an older lady who was in a very nice brand new Jaguar coming. She was going east, I was going west, and my light was green. Okay, and she knocked me in. She took a red. Okay, and then I flipped twice
Mm,
around, and
mm,
then boom, almost hit a home, a neighbor's home. This
mhm.
was this was in between the Elcon Mall and here, and if people are in Tucson, it was on Country Club and Broadway. Okay, and I had to go to a deposition. My whole back was fractured, but now it's just the middle. And I still worked out like that. I don't know how we survived. We're supposed to be sacrifices for these a-holes, which were no. What I saw right now when you're telling me about how you skidded, the word manto santo came. The white shield of God came over you and me. And this is what happens, is what I saw with yours, especially right now, what you said, I saw manto santo. That's the word. It's the sacred manto is like how do you say cobija, a shield, and that's what
That
I
made
saw.
me why I bought that Greek shield and displayed it on the wall. I was like, am I supposed to buy a sword? No, a shield. And I display the shield because
Oh
that's like
wow,
a hoplite shield. You know, it's like on the because I was supposed to get that. So that was,
nice.
but um, yeah, I gotta tell you though, what you did, I'm not gonna let it die. I'm not gonna let it be buried because I'm gonna celebrate what you did by letting me
Yeah.
know and standing up to minions is very, very important because what it is, it's a main tactic, and now it's going to be revealed, and the people that do it are pretty much cowards. So it's like you did something that others were too afraid to do, and it's so persuasive and so manipulated and such a successful formula. But the ones that instituted are cowardly, and it's like you stood up, and I'm going to keep letting people know what you did, and
Thank you.
and I'm going to encourage others to do the same when they're approached, because that was Pat Robertson's system of rewards and honors, he said, for those that would betray and turn. So I'm very appreciative that you had the courage to do what you did. And that is a big part of this story. It's like Trinity in the Matrix. You
Thank
really
you.
did it. You did it. So I've been waiting a long time to tell somebody that, like, well done on not falling into the anonymous pattern. We call them anonymouses. Well done. Well done. And what I was given is by bringing that forward and celebrating that, what you did, it's going to shut down the anonymous system. It's not going to be so popular, easy to do it anymore. They did it because it's easy. These from way back to Robertson's group, all these different line of anonymouses have done it because it's easy, and it's like a coward's job. You can get away with it without ever being revealed. And some of them way back with loved ones would take 2.5 hours on the person. And I'd ask the person, did you know who they were? No, I never met them. They said they didn't want to be known. They didn't want you to know who they were or that they contacted me. Always they say that. And that's why these transcripts I have from way back, even in 1988 when this started, where they approached jobs and people and everything, is so telling. And I want to go over that transcript one time uh,
Yes, please.
with the Darlene Graves transcript with Kirsten, who was picked up by Spielberg's best friend. So that conversation is so important because it shows what you were exposed to. And how long later, since 1988, is it still going on? And that's backed by the psych department using it.
Right.
And they'll pick people with psychological problems in order to institute it. It's so wild. So they get to flip it. It's almost like they turn their embarrassment or whatever they held onto other people and get to feel a clean slate. But that is not the way to go forward in life. That is a synthetic and unearned stolen glory way to proceed. It's really about, face your fears, face any inadequacies you think you have, and just choose to be a better person and work on yourself. Don't ride other people's coattails and don't try to steal from other people to get attention. If there's one thing I can change in humanity, it's their need for attention. And that's what we talked about earlier. I don't need attention. I enjoy being alone and working and creating. I love it. So,
You know
that's
what I just got when you said stop riding their coattails. Okay, so what I envision just right now, it's like a couple, right? They're gonna go and they're trying to get married. Okay, and what I'm saying about getting married is trying to create, okay, a book, a playwright, whatever it is in life, whatever it is, a house. Okay, you're trying to create something.
yeah.
And there they go. They're on the bride's dress tail. I don't remember what it's called. And then the man, the groom's will say he has a penguin suit on or whatever.
Right.
And I see the the orange and I mean the yellow minions
Yeah.
like all the way riding it. And
That's
we're already,
exactly it. Yeah.
it's like
It actually becomes their career. Can you believe that? The ones that were the first anonymouses were Pat Robertson's security guards. that would
Tell
then
us about that. Tell us about that.
they pretended they retired, right?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then what they do is they'd show up where you are, apartments you're at, and move in with elaborate systems, because like I was like a maintenance guy, told me this ex-CBN security guard had moved in with his badge still on because he wanted to be proud of it, and had this elaborate phone system and moved in right after you moved in, Tom. So he had known our story, the maintenance guy, along with the office staff, because we wanted to make sure we'd be safe and protected. And that was with me and Otika. We were sharing an apartment, and she was helping me write the piece that's done. So Otika Ball, and Senator
How
David,
did you meet her?
she found me really.
Where? How?
I was doing an audition for Good Goodbye Charlie, got in, and so then they decided to do an audition for Anything Goes. So I was already established in this theater company with the lead in Goodbye Charlie, which was really great, fun show. And there she is in the red dress, just like Matrix, before Matrix is made.
Oh,
And she's in the red dress. That's why they put it in the Matrix. Just like the reason they put David and or Thomas A. Anderson, like we talked
right.
about. So very much tied to details. Larry's obsessed about it, being better than the author by sticking everything in. So I saw her in the red dress auditioning, and the guys that were next to me, beside me, flanking me, were like, "Oh, I'd like to see her in a bathing suit. Oh my God, I'd like to see it." I don't like when women are talked about as objects instead of, persons. So I
Thank
didn't
you.
like what they were saying, and it kind of kicked in me an idea of protect. I get that thing where I don't like it happening, and I kind of try to be a shield for ladies that are exposed to that because it's done behind their back. So the director came up and she asked me, Tom, you're definitely the lead. Once you be the lead, um, what do you think of the two main girls that auditioned playing across from you? Which one do you think is stronger? Because she wanted the chemistry to be right. And there was a
Right.
girl named Pam or something that had auditioned also. And she was leaning towards her. And I said, I think, Otika, there's something about her, because I see layers. I said, there's something about her that's very, there's a complexity there that's good. I think they'll read from the stage. It's really, really good. And so she went ahead, got her in. Next thing a producer saw us doing Anything Goes, or how does Anything Goes, and he wanted to do Funny Thing Happened to the Forum. So I was to be hero. And he was casting me as the lead, and Otika was going to be Felia. But Otika had told the director she was afraid that she was drawn to me. So she was like, okay, I don't want Tom in because I feel like, this wouldn't be appropriate for me to be feeling what I'm feeling, whatever. So it was this kind of thing. It was a weird thing. And the director told me, and I said, I want my part. I want to do this show. I love the show. And I don't mean to step on her toes, but I don't think she has a right to say I can't do the show.
Exactly.
I went and did the show. He put me in. He said, well, it's a no-brainer. You'd be the one. So I get in, and that's when she was talking to me, and she was a person of faith and stuff like that, and we connected. So it was interesting because she was married at the time, and I was like, we're both like, so
Uh,
yeah, but she was going through a divorce. So it's that happens in theater a lot, and you're
yeah.
left with this quandary where it's like theater is just like, what are you going to do? So my family would accuse me of having stepped the bounds or something, but they're all doing it. They're all doing these like things like that. And I just prayed about it and prayed about it. What am I supposed to do? All right. She's going through a divorce, but she's not divorced yet. What do we do?
Oh gosh. Yeah.
So just try to be open about everything. But it was like we got called to work together on the Pat Robertson stuff because it was ongoing. So we did. And that's how the screenplay got written. So after because I was married to an awful person that was the Pat Robertson plant, like honeypot,
Oh, that's right. You told
terrible
me.
person. And so she wanted to throw me out because she said I wasn't making enough money as an actor. So I was like, great, all right, fantastic.
Sorry.
So I had no place to go when she said, you come back when you're making more money. I'm like, well, that's real love. And so what happens is Otika gave me a place to work from, and I created the screenplay. So I did it. So it's one of those things where it was just like push, shove, push, shove. In the mix in that was all the stuff going on with Pat Robertson's group. And the mafia actually involved too. The Italian mafia is the one that stepped in and gave Botica and I really nice housing. They said they want to bring Pat Robertson down. And so it's no wonder the mafia is the one that made sure I could pitch my screenplay to Bonaventura of Warner Brothers because they're connected to the mafia. So the Italian mafia made sure I got the pitch session. Isn't that crazy? So yeah, but
Is it
also
one of my uncles?
yeah, that's why that tape is so important. We're going to be publishing with Lenny Coco and the Chimes. Lenny Coco, who was the one that is best friend of Bonaventura under the Warner Brothers label, Tag Records under Warner Brothers label. He is the one that amazing tape was done where the attorneys that were provided us by Warner Brothers, defense attorneys, through our case, the handoff ones, had, like I said, they called them twice. They said Miriam Espinoza, their paralegal, had called Lenny Coco twice, her relative. They had all like the Art of War lined up, and said that he thinks you're crazy. You never were there. This is years later after that pitch session and everything when he had me at his home. And so I was like, okay. And she said, so since he said you're crazy twice, let's give him a call anyway now. So they wanted to rub it in. They wanted to make sure it was set. Lenny Coco had been contacted twice by the Planet firms to make sure he would say I was crazy, and then let's put it in Tom's face. So that was taped by us, and Lenny gets on the phone call and does what he's supposed to do. He's going like, I'm sorry, I never met you. I'm crazy. I'm sorry, but I never met you. And I'm like, that's okay. And I'm like, I want to thank you anyway for, having me to your home. And even if you don't remember, it was one of the biggest moments in my life. And I am going to thank you for it, that you did it. And he goes like, okay. He didn't expect that. And I said, for my family, my children, this meant a lot. And he goes, okay, describe me. I don't know if I told you this, but he's like, describe me. And I described him, bald, glasses, shorter. He's like, okay, describe my home. Described it. We were in your, it was cluttered, bookshelf to the right, your round table, dining room tables to the left. Your dining room connects to the kitchen. The kitchen had an island that stretches across horizontally. And then you got a yellow refrigerator. Behind the yellow refrigerator is a yellow phone attached to the refrigerator facing the windows. And I described it completely. He's like, okay, describe my wife. I did. Describe my granddaughter. Soft, curly brown hair, very pretty, shoulder length, curls. And he's like, okay, all right, hold it. Yes, you were here. Yes, I remember you. My wife remembers you, my granddaughter. He was told to say I was crazy. He flips around in the middle of that call.
Oh my goodness.
I'm crying. He's crying. The attorney who's provided to throw our case is saying this on the tape, not realizing she's taped. You're vindicated. You're vindicated. You're vindicated. Like she's in shock. It all went backwards.
Wow.
Next, Lenny Coco on that tape, and I'll provide it to you. Lenny Coco saying, I want you to write my life story. Just like he said when I was at the pitch session. He remembered everything. So what happened was that was never entered into evidence. So when we do the Matrix 1 case, this will be entered because when you have direct access, Bonaventura's friend, and it's there as proof, right? But their attorney's even saying you're vindicated. That is going to be huge evidence along with these drafts that have been restored. I think the agency realized there's no way we can lose now. I think they're sort of impressed that we survived everything they threw, right?
Yes.
So I'm excited to team up with great people like yourself and just celebrate when this is done. Yeah. That's what's so wild about the anonymouses. The ones that turn at the last minute, you have to be a special kind of dumb because right now it's all taking off, including what Roseanne's done, Trump's knowledge, all that stuff. Why would you flip right now? Right. That's like being a kamikaze. You're not going to stop the fleet. We're coming in. And we're not going to stop us. The Pacific Fleet's on its way. So what are you going to do? Run your plane into our ship and do some anonymous calls? And it's going to catch up with you, and you'll be on the wrong side of history. You'll look pretty stupid. Like, what was the guy that sold himself out in the Matrix? Was it Cypher or Bane? So it's a special kind of dumb when you turn to the last second. We've got
It'll be very interesting. First of all, I want to ask you, when are you guys going to go to court? Second of all, what social media has done and AI is they've wanted the humans to be predatory. Okay,
Exactly.
so us as
Exactly.
stars, yes, the tactics. So us as star beings, I'm learning a lot from you. I've had to last night. I said no more small talk with these people that, I have my show set up. I don't need to have small talk with these people that are still trying to grab me into the SSP community. It'll be interesting in Florida because there's a lot of trolls and enemies that have trolled us and, talked ill about us. And if they show up, don't you dare try and be our friends and say, forgive me, because we tried. We tried last year and the year before. So don't come at us and say, oh, I'm sorry. No, no, bullshit. Excuse
Exactly.
my language. Because
I'm
they're
enjoying
going
the
to
good.
be acting.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the good people now. I'm not trying to be the bleeding heart to save all these other people that have been like I would go to try to help my enemies more than my friends because they're an enemy. I better pray for them, help them. No more of that.
Exactly.
I'm done trying to help the
Yep.
enemies. I'm going to enjoy because I've come through. I felt like, God said, well done. So I'm done that cup that I had to suffer through. And now I get to enjoy the
Yes.
company of great people and heroes. And I'm glad that certain parties flipped right at the end because I would have lifted them and celebrated them. And I'm glad they showed their true colors right at the end. That is God. That is a
That is God.
blessing. That is God.
Yes.
Because I would have lifted them and they didn't deserve it. They didn't
No.
earn that. So now they are going to be revealed as they are and in the story as they are, as true Banes. I mean, can you imagine the Matrix where the Bane character or Cypher, whatever, or Bane actually gets away with everything he does and ends up being a buddy with Neo and did what he did and plans to keep doing what he's doing and has that dark heart? I don't think so. So I think this is a God scripted moment where he changed the story to what it should be, where the dark ones are revealed at the last minute and we get to actually be with the actual good remnant, the actual good people. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
When you said dark horse came through. Now, I'm not saying that just because it's a dark horse is evil. I'm just saying that that particular dark horse was evil and it has been revealed. So now it's time for the other horses to come around
Yes, which is
and
wild you said
celebrate.
that. I had that vision way back when I was at
Yeah.
Robert's organization about the white horse being given, just like they did in Lord of the Rings, the white horse to Gandalf, like the white horse being given. I'm not
Oh
Gandalf,
my
but the white
God.
horse given. So
I
it's
had
like,
a dream of a white horse coming to me. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah,
And it laid its
that's what
head
I was
on
getting
my
at. Yeah,
laps and I woke up crying with that white horse. And that was, geez, that was in like 2019 when I had that dream. So that everything is coming together. I'm not
yeah.
kidding. Anytime I have a dream or a flashback or a vision of something, I write it down, and sometimes it's the next day that it's revealed, a week later,
Yep,
years later.
yep.
People come to us, and it's like, oh, you're that person that was supposed to help me. And Tom, a lot, when we first started, there were so many people saying, why are you having Tom on your
Yeah,
show? You know, this, and that. And Sophia Stewart's the original author. And I'm like, no, there's something about Tom that I trust, and I still trust you and I'm gonna keep trusting you, and I don't care who comes at us, and we're
I
gonna keep
appreciate
going.
that.
But when,
Yeah.
yeah, when are you gonna go to court
Well, I
again
was going to say,
to?
as far as Sophia Stewart, like I said, she has 33 pages. And that guy did such a good job
33.
debunking it, with Star Wars and all spaceships. And there's no spaceships in the Matrix that I know of. And it's like, or in the Mortals either. And it's like Star Wars space, meets God and just copy the Bible narrative with Star Wars. Okay. All right. Maybe for a student project in high school, that might be, a good submission for whatever, but not if you're going to claim that you wrote a blockbuster. No way. It's so juvenile. She
It's
never wrote a
crazy.
full script. So that's what blows me away that people
Yes.
still are pushing the urban legend, which is just full of gum, just no bits. You've got to have a full screenplay. You got to have it copyrighted, and then to make up a story about some contest in a magazine, but you can't show it. You don't, and there's no record of the contest by the Wachowskis in a magazine. Wachowskis have such egos; they would never ask somebody for their screenplay ideas. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. You know, it's like, and one was in high school when this supposed contest was aired. What a convenient story where she didn't show any proof in her case.
She
So
doesn't have the script.
there's no script. She doesn't have a script. She has what it calls a manuscript. And it's like no script, no screenplay, none. So we're the only ones that hold it. We're the only ones that have a screenplay. So my son and I, that's it.
Awesome.
But as far as court, first it's do what we're doing: events, interviews, book, documentaries. Win outside the court of public opinion, then go to bat, and the judges will not do the dirty things they've done. Robertson wouldn't be able, or Robertson's group wouldn't be able to control them now. Warner Bros. Wouldn't be able to control them now. So we know how the game is played now, and now we know what we can do. And even when Sophia Stewart says you won't be able to make your film, we'll put an injunction on you. Yeah, well, that means we win. Like I said, that means there's similarities. She's trying to argue that we can't make it because it's similar to the Matrix. We predate Matrix. We have the copyright. They don't.
Exactly.
Even her handler said they're not claiming Matrix title. The only reason Sophia Stewart can claim a Matrix title without a body of work is Warner Bros. Said, we're not going to claim the Matrix title. We're claiming the green scroll and blips. They said, we're claiming the Immortals title, which is my title. And the green scroll and blips is in my work before they got it. So they're really just hanging themselves. Sophia Stewart is really just a fly that needs to go away. Just sure away.
Just a puppet. I was going to ask you, did Otika get any money, or did she come back and try and handle you after the breakup? What happened finally when you said?
She did try to get money. Yeah. What they do is they try to say, after being the ones that, like, I got wall hangings she made. She actually made wall hangings about, don't give up the fight, keep going, Tom, never stop, because she saw all the evidence. So she was just like, you got to do this. And for years, 5 years, she kept me on it. Don't ever stop. God would not want you to do this. This is too clear. It's too, proofs are all here. We got to get them out. Work so hard. Then when they approach you and get you turned, they'll say it's all lies. How can you say it's all lies when you spent 5 years on this evidence, touting it and being blown away by the evidence and pushing it yourself and making wall hangings for me to continue on and sending me cards to make me keep going? It doesn't make any sense, but that's how they do it. They give you rewards, and she wanted to be famous, is what it was. So
of course, they usually pair you up. Sorry, they usually pair us up with, like, say, me and the ex-husband, because the genes were perfect on both sides. And now my children are super soldiers as well. They're used in the program. I've talked about that with them. Like, hey, watch out for this, watch out for that. There's been a lot of, I'm not going to talk about it here. I'll tell you later when I meet you. We have all that stuff. But it's wonderful things have been going on now. And you're right. Everything, they flip it, but my goodness, we have to stand our ground and know our truth and see our way through there. And don't let these, people that are, or entities that are coming in all directions come at us. We have that shield. That shield. I always tell people, it's like, these mirrors that come at you. And so what I do is I break them and then send them back all over. Send them back. Look at yourself in pieces, because I am no longer your puppet. We are no longer their puppets, Tom.
Right. Well, did I tell you about the other honeypot, the one that is Aiden's mom?
Tell me.
Yeah, Aiden's mom.
Tell me.
What's interesting is they are big about bloodlines. We know this, right? Yes. And being Swiss royalty, and also, like I said, the Battle of Hastings. I'm just reviewing that was a big thing for the Cabal. That my ancestor, the Frampton Knight, was knighted at Battle of Hastings. That's huge turning point of energy in history. So, and then Swiss royalty, that's huge. If you're Swiss royalty, you're at the center of what the Cabal looks for, right? That Germanic kind of like look and everything too. So what's interesting is the honeypot wife they provided, which was provided through Mike Lang of Disney, and who was housed by the attorney that would throw my case later after she got with me. This is incredible. But she is related to me. So what they did is they gave me a relative that I didn't know was a relative. And she has the same, like we saw the family history in the end afterwards. She's from the Strong line, and I'm from the Strong line out of Georgia. So the Strong line is very much a big, they're a very influential powerhouse lineage. So they provide Rebecca Northcutt, who is also descended from the Sun King, Louis the 14th, I think it is, which is one of the considered like the most incredible Renaissance king there was. Like the golden king. So there's that bloodline with my own bloodline, the strong bloodline, being brought in with the Swiss royalty, with the thing, and we get Aiden. Now, she said Aiden was never supposed to be born. So the cabal never intended Aiden to be born.
Mm-hmm.
It was a job she had to do
Wow.
to get access to evidence, get me down the wrong road, like Sophia Stewart was supposed to mislead me. So what's interesting is Aiden is born, and she said, that okay, then he's not her blood. What? Yeah, you're the maternal, you're the mom. But it was like that's apparently, and she was going to leave us in 2009. They
Mhm.
killed, was it Kirk? They killed Sean. They killed Kirk. And what happened was she was all set to leave us. All of a sudden, she announced she's leaving us. But we learned that we could win our case. So she was ordered by Disney to stay with me, and suddenly she was all lovey again. And that was after she went to Thailand and had all these affairs, and then comes back. And I wasn't going to allow Aiden and I to go, so she can just party it out to exit, right? And even it said to me that she's going to get with a doctor, and all this kind of stuff. So we're
Very.
like, oh, okay. So Aiden and I are just stranded, stuck. We were played. Job's done. They
Yeah.
thought, we're done because it was a statute of limitations time. But Warner Brothers instead and Disney wanted us to know and have the case thrown. So at the same time, they made it so that I was introduced to see that the work was stolen. This is very important because 1999, you have a 10-year statute if you haven't discovered it. And then it's 2009. So that's when they're having her then switch up to throw it and have me have the meeting with Rankin, who she pretended she didn't know, who was her landlord, told me later, landlord,
Wow.
sex for trade. And so then she was employed to make sure all evidence could be gotten to the attorneys on the inside and it could be destroyed and altered like you just saw. So yeah, isn't that something? But so Aiden is the product of the strong line and the strong line.
Mhm.
In Louis XIV, Swiss royalty, the Framptons from Battle of Hastings, and the line of David. If you want a line that the
Mhm.
cabal would be interested in that is steeped with royalty and what they look for most, it's Aiden. So that's
Right.
wild. So remember I said that Rebecca claimed that, Becca's claimed that Aiden's not her blood,
Right.
not supposed to exist. Sophia Stewart was brought in too and claimed that Aiden never existed. Using the
Oh
same,
my gosh.
yes, yes, claiming now that he never existed. So what is the cabal so afraid of? Well, one thing is Aiden is a witness to who his dad is. The agency would have a
Yeah.
tough time hauling me off if Aiden is now 18 and a witness that his dad has always been good. It's going to make a rough time for my sister, who's tried to say, waving a gun around. Aiden could say no. So my sister
Right.
was directly involved with the agencies like that congressman, FBI congressman, to try to pull Aiden away. She was directly saying she was going to take him using
Wow.
services. So she was very concerned about Aiden's being a witness to his dad being a good guy, being a good
That's interesting. I also come from the bloodline of David, and I have Germanic on both my mother and my father's side. Okay. So I alone having my kids is a strong line. His line is Spain and something else. I still have to figure that one out. But because you know, my grandfather, my grandmother, they had one of them had the blonde hair, blue eyes. Same on the other side. They're both Richie. They're both German.
Mhm.
Very interesting.
You
I
asked
wonder.
about,
Yeah,
go ahead and finish.
go ahead. No, I was just wondering because I've had dreams of you being the Midas King. And I've told you that I presented something to you. It was writing, and you put your hand on it, and it turned pretty much turned into gold. You gave me the okay. This was, gosh, this was in 2020 that I had this dream. But I wanted to say this. We're from the island of Corsica on my father's side, and my great grandfather he was sent by Napoleon and I have their picture here, and I'm going to put it in my book. He was sent to Los Alamos,
Wow.
and he knew Tesla, Enrico Fermi, and then one of my grandfathers, which was my father's aunt, she married an Oppenheimer, and she was sent to El Dorado with him. They had their honeymoon there at El Dorado, which was the most expensive resort ever. And it's just really interesting, how just they, by the time it got to my grandfather, like he was pretty much programmed and he drank the money, he drank all the money. So they're the poor line, again. And I'm like, no, I'm no longer poor. And it's just they try and keep us down, because when they keep us down, they can exert the most power from us, right? But now we're smart and we know what they're doing, so we use that power for us, and we rise above all their negative programming. We rise. You were going to say something.
I was
I
going to
was
say
going to
about
ask.
Otika too. Otika had told me that well, we had images of if we had had children, that the bloodline would have been exceptional, like really, really would have been incredible kids and beings coming in. But there would be one that would be dark that could have done what I was supposed to do with Robertson's group. So it wouldn't have been perfect, but it would have been a lot of creatives and a lot of athletic creatives. So it would have been a good thing. In fact, we had this image of a redheaded girl. Redhead ran both sides. Um, and she was on a bench in the vision looking at us, waiting. And so that girl will never be born, which is sad because that was going to be the start of the line. But as far as like the woman line, so that's a shame. That's never going to change. But I'm glad for whatever children are born for her. They have that they're existing and living in life. It's great, but it's just that vision won't transpire or won't come about. But if we'd been allowed when we're the Rockefellers to have credit for the work, then yes, the line would have been born. It would have
Oh,
continued. So it
wow.
really is how much Joel Silver, the producer, claims Matrix and the Wachowskis muscled in to make sure, screaming and crying and whining to get the work. If the work had been credited back, which they were thinking of doing, and when I was kind of held in limbo from 93 to 95, and Ortega had stayed with me, they would have given us credit.
Mhm.
So, you know, that would
So
have been
that's the little girl, right? In the Matrix 3 with the red hair,
little
right?
girl. Yeah, the little
That's
girl in Matrix
playing.
3 actually, well, that's actually the daughter I lost.
Oh, okay.
Robertson
Where,
did
where
these
did you?
sessions. Robertson did these sessions with social workers of his, called up social workers, where Kirk had told me, Sean had told me too, Kirk had told me that they were told that the sessions wouldn't stop until they believed their dad was evil. But basically, my kids were approached by anonymouses, and they're told that sessions won't stop until you realize your dad tried to kill you. He's evil. He's narcissistic, and Kirk was surprised that Terrace turned first, that she went for it because Terrace was the one that's like, "Daddy, I want to live with you," and got beat up by the mom for this, the Robertson mom, and like her hair chopped up, screaming at her, and
Oh my gosh.
she said, "Daddy, you keep trying, no matter what the judge says ever about divorce. You keep trying to have me with you," and so I held to that, and I wrote the piece to reunite. That's why the little girl's at the end hugging and pointing the son,
Yes.
hugging Neo. But because of the brainwashing, she's now in her 40s and she will have nothing to do with me, has a granddaughter or a daughter now that I'll never meet, never be introduced to, and will think that I'm evil. And it's like, and what she was told to say to me the one time she talked to me when she was older was that you wrote this thing for yourself. I didn't write the screen. Why am I writing a screenplay about reuniting with your daughter and your family if it's just for me? That doesn't make any sense. I'm writing it to reunite the family. I'm writing it for her. So she's the little girl in the Matrix, but was completely baned into believing I was evil and just trashed me all over the line. And
I
my
do
sister
see
controls
her
it.
coming back now. When she comes back, it might be when her mother dies. I don't know, but I do see her coming back to you.
Really?
in the
Because I was told that the only way she'd come back is if I was successful, and then it wouldn't have a heart. She wouldn't have a heart for me. It would just be to use the success. I would like it to be that it
well,
would.
that could be another reality, but you have control over that, okay?
Okay.
You have
Yeah, because
control
she would
over it.
see who I was. She would see my heart. My brother, the pedophile brother that
Yeah,
is with my
yeah,
sister in a weird relationship, like it's kind of
yeah.
sexual, very odd family, but
Oh my gosh.
like a royal family. But it's like
Yeah.
he is dead set on making sure Terrace never reunites with the dad because he wants to take my place and take my place with the screenplay. So he's always done that. In fact, when
It's
Kirk
not
and
gonna
Sean
happen.
were killed, when Kirk and Sean were killed, I sent a text to try to connect. I said, I'm so um, uh, crushed over the death of my sons, and he wrote back, "Ha!" capital HA exclamation mark to mock me like I didn't
Oh,
care.
he was trying to say that you had something to do with
But
that.
well, he's trying
Other
to say that I didn't care. It's mocking me that I didn't care. And that's one of the things that was instituted by the cabal because another guy named Derek in Canada who was housing us or we were sent there wrote the same thing. Ha! Exclamation mark when I was saying about how Aiden and I were crushed over the loss of the brothers. So that's the tactics that are employed.
Mhm.
So the one I don't like, I could see Terrace maybe coming back, and I'd like to see the little girl again, the person that had that good heart that relied on her daddy to keep her safe, always sang with her, took care of her. I'd like to see that happen, just like I had in the screenplay. The
Yeah.
one that will never come back probably is the sister. She's
Oh
gone
no,
so far the dark side that I've been
no,
told
she's
there's not even
gone.
a chance in
No,
hell. No chance in hell. So dark, so gone. So yeah, yeah.
no, and you don't need her, okay?
No,
She she
no.
she gone. She's I
Gone.
had remember I had
Yeah.
that dream of her with you and your mother, and we were together in her house, and no, don't
Tell me that
you.
dream again. I forgot the dream. So I just
Okay, so this okay, because I've had other dreams of you, me, and Michael Jacob being in the Navy, and yes, females are in the Navy, and I'm not going to argue because there's some trolls that are saying I've had poor memories and that I've been in the Navy. Anyway, we were in a room, Michael Jaco, you and me, and then other guys, and a man comes to the door, hands me my letter, says you've been accepted to the Navy SEAL, and you and I celebrate, and Michael Jaco leaves the room because he's pissed. That's the third dream that I had about you. Excuse my language. The fourth one is that you and I are walking to it's like a two-story home, kind of like ranch style, kind of not too kept up, but it's okay. We come in, there's a long wooden table, and your mom is in a wheelchair, and then your sister's there. We hold hands sitting down. I don't say anything. You're just talking to them about the will. There's something to do with money, and the sister won't talk. She's just giving you the eye. And then at the end of the dream, your mom is taken up to the second floor, like on a string, like if she's going up to the second floor in her wheelchair, and there's something going on wrong with her legs. And then the sister leaves. That's the end of the dream. Basically, it was you talking to your mom, and I didn't say anything, and you and I were just telepathic. There's something there. I don't know.
I
Just
I don't know if my sister was born this way, and I just ignored it always because I always tried to spoil her. So I don't know if she was born dark for a purpose. But when Hollywood with the Game of Thrones, when they put her in as the redheaded queen, the redheaded queen that tears up
serious?
documents,
Seriously?
yeah, they put her in there,
Oh
and
shoot! No
yeah,
way.
because they hired J.R.R. Martin, whatever, to in-house at Warner Brothers and HBO. So Warner Brothers and HBO are the ones that are on my Mortals copyright. They copyrighted my title and put HBO and hired Tom Hanks. It's HBO and Warner Brothers. So HBO and Warner Brothers are the ones that were controlling the Game of Thrones situation, where they elevated an in-house employee, J.R.R. Martin, who was in-house employee to do the work to mock. But it turned out good. Through their mockery, it turned out good. That's why you have King Tomlin, and it's not about me, but King Tomlin. Yeah, is that stupid?
Wow,
King Tomlin commits suicide off the balcony because his loved ones are killed. It's like, come on, guys. You
that's so
know,
dumb.
and the brother and sister are having an affair over
Right,
a
they are.
farm, which
I've
my
seen that.
brother Jack and Julie are
Wow,
like the House of Usher. Yeah,
wow. They're
really
mocking
scary.
you, but they're not gonna. They're not gonna get through. They're not gonna. They're not gonna, they can't hurt you anymore. They're
No, I don't
done.
think they can really. I don't think they can either. And I'm wondering again, I still don't know what is the agency's up to here. I don't like the idea that Warner Brothers feels like, oh, you ran your course, we're going to mock you by restoring it. But that could be God because it's like now we got the evidence. And yes, we were blocked from claiming Matrix One. We've always been looking to do it. And with Altered Carbon and Matrix One, I don't care how many times Kate Chilton is going to say statutes are run. No, 3 years is not enough for when you got corporations destroying people's lives. So
Mhm.
no way. No way.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Altered Carbon, Immortals.
But one second,
Every,
let me run get something. Yeah, 1 second.
okay. So thank you for being on Codebreaker Real Talk. And while Tom goes gets what he's going to get, I just want to say, please like, subscribe this video and any other videos that you might like. We're going to be in the disclosure, full disclosure now, 2025 in Florida. So if you'd like to meet Tom or myself, we're going to be there. I spoke in the March 2021 in Vegas. This year, Brian Zhang said that there wasn't any room, but I'll be there and I'll speak in 2025, which is really interesting because my birthday is February 26th, February 26th. So it's like, next year is 2026. Yes, I'll be speaking in 2026. Isn't that interesting? It's a portal, guys, and we're gonna
Sorry
have a
about
good
that.
time
We had a
there in
door.
Florida.
We had
Okay,
a
go
door.
ahead, go ahead. I was
Anyway,
just telling them about, the Florida thing that we're gonna be there if they want to meet you
yeah,
or me or
yeah.
yeah, it'll be
That'd be a
good.
lot of fun. That'll be really cool to meet people there. So really, I think everything is such good shape. I don't see how we could lose. And I'm not going to open up the debate with naysayers because we've got what we have. We do have legal counsel, and they're saying like this is going to be huge, and they want to go after everything, like have everything. So yeah, we're in good shape.
So it'll be all good. Now, do you want to say anything else before we go? We are here every Wednesday. Tom Althouse and Veronica Bartolini, we're here every Wednesday. Anything else you want to say, Tom? We can keep going or we can
No, I
save it
think we're
for
good. We're
coffee.
good. I think this is perfect as it is. So I
Okay.
just want to say thank you to everybody that's believed and everyone that supported. And let's make a better world together. We'll just do it.
Yes,
We'll finish it. So I like the good people.
it's time. Thanks,
All right.
everyone. Thank you, Tom, for being with me, and we'll see you next week. Thanks,
All right.
guys, for
Take
on
care.
Code Breaker.